overs an hour. They're cheating the
Which they're not
public.
doing, yeah.
It's £165 the ticket at Lord's today. Yeah. £165. Two grown-ups, 330.
Yeah.
If you had, let's say, kids can come in from a tenner, but that's £350 for a day, not the whole test.
Yeah.
That's a lot of brass. And we bowl in 13 and a half overs an hour. It's monstrous. All you have to do, don't alter the size and shape of the bat, the length of the pitch, the stumps or anything. Don't alter anything. Just make them, penalise them, if they don't bowl, say, 16 overs an hour, and just move the game on a bit into 4 days. That's all.
So you played well into your 40s.
Yes.
You know, you packed up county cricket in your mid-40s.
46.
46. And you were, I remember, one of those cricketers, I think Alan Knott was another, you took fitness and training very, very seriously. You ran, you got yourself into good condition, you had your injuries, broken bones and all the stuff that cricketers have.
Broken bones mainly, because you get hit on the fingers or on the arm. I broke my arm in Australia and so thing. You're going to get breaks as a top-order batsman against fast bowlers.
But you were taking fitness seriously.
Yes.
At a time when not many cricketers did. I mean, I sort of see visions of Colin Cowdrey walking out with sort of stomach out here somewhere. I mean, still a very good batsman.
A good bat.
And all the rest of it. But for somebody you've taken your health very seriously all your life, you've not been that lucky in later years, have you?
No, I got cancer of the tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had 2 years ago quadruple heart bypass. I didn't have a heart attack, but they just found it on examination. Yeah, I've had all kinds of things. I think if you play Test cricket long enough, you're in love with it. You've got to have a strong mind. That's what Test cricket, you have to play. You have to be a great character, good technique. You have to have a strong mind. Yeah. If you play the 20-20 and the 100 ball, it's just crash, bang, wallop. It's really baseball. Cricket's answer to baseball. Stand, can you hit a home run? 4 or 6, every ball. That's what it is. Test cricket isn't like that. It ebbs and flows and changes from steady to quickness. And one side gets the upper hand, and you've got to be able to have a quick mind to think. You may be under pressure for half an hour with fast bowling. Can you play through it? You're not going to smack them round the park. It has all these aspects. I think Test cricket is an examination. When you go to 20-20, the 100 balls, it's just pure fun. And treat it like that.
But it's a good day out for the crowd.
It's a wonderful day.
Yeah, and 20-20, it's over in 3.5 hours or whatever it is.
And the tickets are cheap.
Yeah, no,
30 quid. 165 quid for a test. There ain't too many going to that. No. Only those that can afford it.
Yeah. No, I've been to a few 20-20s, and I was a bit sceptical to begin with. Actually, do you know what? It's fun.
No, I thought it would be great fun. Yeah. It would fill a void. Yeah. Kids can go, families can afford it. And you look at the modern-day kid for the last number of years. They used to having everything quick, instant, exciting. I mean, how many of them sit down quietly like we did and read a book when there was no television? Now there's television, there's games on television, there's got computers with games, they've got mobile phones to get everything on. All kinds of things. And it's just right for what the modern youngster wants.
So does Test cricket survive? I mean, I hope and pray that it does.
I think it'll struggle.
Do you?
I think this 20-20, 100 ball, and the administrators put in all the promotion into it. If they put the same amount of money and promotion and effort into Test cricket, changing it to 4 days, moving the over rate on, selling it to the public, explaining how different it is, we could have and should have both games, because they both have a part to play. We shouldn't lose one. But there are so many countries now, they're struggling. They're losing money on Test cricket. New Zealand only have 5 million people. South Africa has struggled, and West Indies, no chance. Pakistan don't watch Test cricket.
I've been to Barbados to watch Test cricket, and there's more English in the crowd than there are Barbadians.
And I did 3 tours there. And when I played, the grounds were full of West Indians. Now they're not. They don't go. They look at the team and the standard of cricket and the quality, and they go, when I've watched Sobers and the 3 W's, and Ryan Canai and Wes Hall bowling and Malcolm Marshall and Michael Holding, they go, no, I'll give it a miss now. It's not in the same league. No. And we're not selling Test match cricket. We're just leaving it as it was, and we're kind of seducing ourselves that because Lord's is full, because our Test grounds are full, that's going on the same way in other parts of the world. It isn't.
She's a former MP and indeed MEP with me in the European Parliament, one of the best-known female figures in British politics since Margaret Thatcher, the indomitable Anne Widdecombe, joined me on Talking Pints, and I began by asking her about her Christian faith and her views on wokeism. Hold on to your hats. With you, it all goes back to first principles, and I think that's Christian faith, isn't it?
It certainly is, yes. I mean, a lot of my views are a direct result of that, but others aren't. And people very often think, oh, I believe this because I'm a Catholic. In fact, I always did believe it. So some are directly the consequence of faith, some aren't. But underlying my life, yes, is that Christian faith.
And, of course, a very patriotic upbringing. You know, your father in the services and Plymouth and the Navy and all of those things. What was it? I mean, you first got elected to Parliament in 87, I think.
Correct.
So that's a few years ago now. Because there weren't that many women in the Conservative Party in Parliament then, were there?
No, indeed, there were 19 of us, and 5 of us were new, you know, so there had been news of 14. And 5 of us came in and we bumped it up to 19, and this was regarded as something quite remarkable.
Yeah.
And, of course, that was all before the days of quotas and A-lists. We had to compete with the men on exactly the same basis as the men, I'm very pleased to say. We did not have our paths artificially smooth for us, so those of us who got in there had really wanted to get in there.
Is Boris that bad a leader?
I think he's weak. I think he's hopelessly weak. I think his instincts actually are libertarian. If you remember right back at the beginning of this pandemic, when he was asked why he was only making staying at home advisory and not compulsory, he said, oh, it's a land of liberty. Well, he doesn't say that now, does he? I mean, liberty has gone out of the window. And I think he's a weak leader, but he's at least 100 times as strong as Keir Starmer. So I suppose we ought to be grateful for that.
I mean, Mrs. Thatcher, of course, was there in 87 in an enormously powerful position, and you've seen it all the way through John Major and Tony Blair and of course, Michael Howard, who you're something of the night about him, did seem to rather stick with Michael Howard and didn't do him a lot of good. I mean, who's the best leader you've seen?
Oh, I think undeniably Thatcher, though I do think John Major was underestimated. Now, we may have differences with him over Europe, but I do think that as a Prime Minister, he was underestimated, and I think the judgment of future historians may be rather different from that of contemporary commentators.
And politics.
But, of course, Thatcher was head and shoulders above everybody.
Yeah, until the end. And there's an end for everybody unless they decide to go at the right moment. But I mean, it's a huge roller coaster, isn't it, politics?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, riding high in April,
up, one down,
shot down in May.
Yeah,
what was the low point of Anne Widdecombe's career?
Oh, I think it came in the year 2000 when I was Shadow Home Secretary, and I devised a policy, which was actually passed within the party, of zero tolerance towards drugs. Now, drugs accounted, the statistics then were that they were accounting for 80% of all acquisitive crime and 30% of all crime. So if you could make an impact on drugs, you would make a big impact on crime in general.
Yeah.
And therefore I wanted a policy of zero tolerance all the way up from supply right down to soft drug usage. And that was what I proposed, with proportionate sentences.
That includes cannabis and what we call soft drugs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I was then stabbed in the back by 6 or 7 colleagues who announced to the press that they had all taken drugs, when they were at university, and effectively they didn't regret it.
So you were left high and dry?
I was absolutely left high and dry. That was the end of it, yeah.
And when you left politics finally, you did it voluntarily.
Yeah.
You decided, you'd been the MP for Maidstone.
Yeah.
You'd had enough. The Brexit Party got you back into politics. But, and I know you're very fortunate in a way to live where you do.
Yeah, Dartmoor, yep.
On the edge of Dartmoor, views out over the English Channel, and I'm sure for lockdown there have been far worse places to be than home for you. But you're still out there fighting and campaigning, aren't you? Just tell us what your latest campaign is.
Free speech. I am appalled now at it's been going on for some years, but it's been really crescendoed in the last 2 or 3 years, at the way people are cancelled, have their livelihoods undermined, when they say something that displeases this actually quite small minority of people called the wokerati. But for some reason, all the institutions bow down to this minority.
Including corporate companies.
Oh, we saw it with IKEA. But it was actually quite interesting what happened there, because IKEA had been advertising on GBNews, as you know, and the woke protested and thought this was inappropriate. So what happens? They ring up and they presumably get somebody in the PR department there and speak to the managing director. And he said, no, we'll be reviewing it. But then you got what I've been longing for. You got the backlash from the non-wokerati saying, well, if you review it, we'll review our custom in IKEA. And that is what we need. We actually need those who do not like the current trends to start actively resisting.
And does the same argument apply? Because, and my feeling is that an awful lot of what is happening in schools and universities, frankly, a lot of it's near indoctrination, it seems to me. We're not teaching critical thinking. We're not saying, look, here's a problem, here are two solutions, you make your mind up which one you have the most respect for. How do we turn around the education system?
Well, the government is introducing law to compel universities to have free speech and with penalties if they don't and all the rest of it.
Will it be applied?
Well, whether it will be applied is one question, but the other question is why wait till universities? Education starts in the schools. And what education is supposed to do is not teach you what to think, it's supposed to teach you how to think, how to analyse, how to apply a rigorous examination. That's what it's about. And doesn't appear to be happening. So that's where they need to start.
So you will battle on with this free speech
campaign?
I
will absolutely battle on. I had some time ago now, a successful outing to the Oxford Union with Toby Young. And I thought that we were going to lose that because students were heavily no-platforming at the time. And in fact, we won by a vast margin. Now, the Oxford Union is different. It's always been devoted to free speech, to controversial debate. It enjoys
That's what it's there for.
And that's what it's there for.
Yes. But, you could easily have lost, as you said.
Yeah.
You're the first in your family to go to university, so whatever challenges your childhood presented, it didn't stop you going to university. How did you find it?
Never felt like a student. I was always like a townie who was doing a degree and a little bit apprehensive about it. None of my friends really had gone to university. They're all trained as plumbers and electricians and that kind of thing. And it was completely not what I expected, a lot more down to earth. And I studied politics, so you can decide whether that was useful or not.
You say you played hard and you worked hard. You did your schoolwork too. You get into Oxford.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. But I just was like a fish out of water, for most of it, to be honest. Although I did make some really good friends there.
Why were you a fish out of water?
State educated, northern girl doing science. And the work is really, really hard. It's completely different. What I realised was everybody else had a lot of coaching, a lot of extra tuition, a lot of support. There was no teaching, really. It's just like, here's an exercise book, get on with it. Crushed my confidence immediately, which having gone from being this sort of clever, like, oh, you're out of 2,000 kids in this sixth form college in Manchester, we want you to sort of apply for you. I was the only one who got in out of that, to basically being made to feel like I was totally thick, is quite crushing.
Did your parents separate when you were young? Do you know your dad?
They separated when I was 10. My father left home for strangers with a woman round the corner. I have to say it's probably it made things more difficult financially, but it also made me probably appreciate what I've actually had, what I then had in the future, so to speak. So.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle, Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else, I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Famous actor and now reclaimed party leader Laurence Fox is known for being outspoken, for being controversial. Well, let me tell you, he didn't hold back in the GB News pub. He talked to me about how cancel culture has killed his acting career and what it was like coming from such a famous acting family.
When I was at drama school, there was a guy called Nick Kempsey. Sorry, Nick, I just mentioned you. But anyway, he was a Bricky's son from Liverpool. And he was like, good on you, mate. I love it, no problem. And then there was a middle-class girl from Putney who would go, you're only here because of your father. And I was like,
they're the ones that still hate you.
Yeah, they still hate me. So I was like, I've got more in common with Nick Kempsey from Liverpool than I do with dear Annabelle from Putney.
And you had a successful career. You're famous, of course. You know, you did year after year after year, didn't you, in Lewis, which was massively successful and big audiences. And was that fun to do?
Well, it's great, because I also, Kev Waitley is proper old lefty.
Yeah, I know he is.
We used to like Barney all day about everything, but it was permissible.
Yeah.
In the day. We were allowed to argue, and everyone argued about everything, and it was great. And then it suddenly just went in show business. And it was like, no, there's one narrative and you must subscribe to that narrative. And I got to the point where I thought, I'm going to cancel myself, actually. I'm done with this.
When did all this start, in your view?
When did the
whole cancelling stuff really start to have an impact?
I think I first noticed it in a friend who came out of Oxford in about 2010. Mm-hmm. And she had some very, very pronounced views on Israel and Palestine. And, you know, I'm not particularly clued up on Israel and Palestine, other than to say it's not really my area. I'm not a foreign policy expert. But she was like, this is horrendous and you've got to get on my side. And I was like, no, I don't. I would like to make my own view. And then slowly you would go into showbiz and you'd be sat there with actually, my final job, I was hired in the room, and then they said, they didn't give me the contract for 2 weeks, and they said, well, there's a diversity problem. So I had to wait, and then they said, we're going to have to hire an actor of colour to play opposite you.
So you saw all of this coming into your acting profession?
Yeah, and then what happens is that because you sort of, the grievance culture was so dreadful that she came up to me on the first day and she said, the only reason I've got this job is because of you. And I was like, well, that's not a good way to start, is it? You know, we're dealing with immutability, and it was really just sort of dreadful.
What do you miss most about acting? I mean, what was your favorite? I mean, obviously Lewis is the thing you're most famous for, but what did you really enjoy most in acting?
Gin and tonics on the roof once you finished.
That's a very good answer.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a very good answer.
It's better because then everyone lets go and they talk. But, you know, even the stressed out people would talk and have fun. But, you know, after doing difficult scenes and things like that, it's always nice to come together and have dinner and those were the fun times. I never enjoyed standing on set with some method actor who was going, just don't talk to me. I've got to prepare for my character. And I'm like, well, we've all got to be here watching you prepare for your character. Thanks very much.
I bet you were difficult to work with.
Well, no, it was really easy to work with.
Yeah.
I was just like, what are we doing? Are you happy? Let's get on with it.
So you see in your professional career what's happening socially as the sort of culture wars, if we can call them that, start to kick off. And you're right. I mean, before 2010, there was political correctness and there was... And words changed, words being acceptable one year and not the next. But kind of, that wasn't brand new. That's been happening probably...
40 years.
You know, a long, long time. But it's a heck of a big change, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
From appearing in Lewis, and you walk down the street and people say, oh my God, that's Laurence Fox, and can we get a selfie and can we have an autograph? And everyone likes you because there's no reason not to like you because they don't, you know, you're the character and now you're leading a political party, and we'll come on to that and the journey. Do you regret what you've done?
No. I don't, because I look at TV and I look at films. My kids often like, can we watch this film? And they'll show me it and I'll go, I can't bear this. This is a moral lecture. It feels like a moral lecture, a lot of television. So I started showing them films that I love, like The Naked Gun and Naked Gun 22 and a half or 33 and a third or whatever. And then we're belly laughing as a family. So it's modern drama is much more a moral lecture or a posturing of grievance culture, which is, I don't want to go, I'm the token white guy and you're the token black guy and this is about the Black Panthers.
But you talk so much about this, and I remember your Question Time performance back in early 2020, sort of just before the pandemic really kicked off, and Meghan Markle was the centre of debate, and you know you had a furious row. I was watching it. It was great fun. I mean, I've appeared many times.
Wasn't wrong either.
But I was enjoying it, you know. But you've made such a stand against Black Lives Matter. I've done the same. You've made such a stand against Black Lives Matter and what they truly stand for and the real intentions of this. I mean, you go from being a popular actor to somebody that now openly gets called racist. How do you deal with that?
Well, I think it's okay. People calling people racist.
Well, it's okay being racist or being called racist.
Well, no, I mean, how long have you spent being the pariah of the whole world? 25 years. You're all right as a result of it.
But I was never popular before.
Well, I'm not sure how popular I was before. But I have children, you know, and there's 9 nephews and nieces in my family. And all of them are mixed race except my 2 kids. By accident, I happen to have 2 very blonde kids, and I don't want them being told that they're not allowed to have an opinion based on the colour of their skin or some immutable characteristic they have, because one of my sons has special needs. So does he not get an opinion because of, you know, I don't believe in that. And
you get called these names?
I mean, you know.
Laurence, I mean, let's be fair. You know, you do, I would suggest you have a little bit of a Twitter problem, that 1 or 2 late night tweets have not been...
Elephant poking.
Exactly what we would expect from the leader of Reclaim, a political party in the United Kingdom. Do you have a problem with Twitter?
I think everyone has a problem with Twitter. I think Twitter's dreadful. It's a sewer, and it's also so addictive, and it makes you think in 240 characters, and actually long thinking is much more important. But what I do with Twitter is my massive failure is that I assume people get what I'm about to say. So if I say something, I don't preface it. I just go blush and I'll say it. And, you know...
But you have deleted a few.
I had, until recently, I had tweet delete on for every 2 weeks. But now I've thought, no, I don't care. You can see whatever I say. It doesn't bother me.
He was part of the world-famous Jackson 5. Yep, Tito Jackson joined me in the GBNews pub, and he talked to me about his career, remarkable career, about his brother Michael, and why he has this great love of English bowler hats. I mean, you've got to be a bit of an Anglophile, I'm guessing.
I've been wearing this thing for 25 years, and I went into a hattery here on James Street, I believe it was.
Yep.
I tried on the bowler, and I fell in love with it, and I've been wearing it ever since.
What do the Americans make of a bowler hat?
They call it a derby there. I'm probably the only American that wears this.
You probably are. Well, there are not many people in this country wear them anymore.
No kidding.
No, they did, but it's sort of, I don't know, hats kind of, they've got out of fashion, but maybe you can bring it back.
That would be great.
Maybe you can bring it back.
If I can help.
Well, we'd be delighted. Now, I can remember you from what I was, well, in fact, I was not tall enough to see over this table because the Jackson 5, it was a mega hit.
Yes.
In America. But on this side of the pond, it was a mega, mega hit. And we were all fascinated by it. And you were also energetic. And the programme, it kind of conveyed happiness.
Yes, well, I remember the very first time the Jackson 5 came to the UK, and we were on a flight from Los Angeles, and the pilot came on and told us it was 10,000 screaming fans at the airport, and had asked all the passengers to basically let us disembark first. And we left the airplane and went into the airport, and it was total chaos. I've never been so rushed and excited. I mean, it's a scary feeling, but it's a fun feeling at the same time, so you don't know how to feel.
And what age were you when this was all happening?
About 16.
But that's a lot to cope with at a very young age, isn't it? That level of fame.
Yeah, but we were used to a little bit of that, but when we came here, it was really...
So the Brits went absolutely mad for it.
It was crazy here. And we had fans all over the street, around the hotel, everything. It was great acceptance by the European fans.
Well, you know something? When it comes to music and art and culture and all of these things, the Brits and the Americans, we kind of enjoy many of the same things.
Yes, we do. We speak in the same language and we like the same type of music,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, no, we do. We do. And growing up, I mean, there were 10 of you.
Yes.
10 kids. There must have been a few little arguments that happened between you, but generally, was it a happy?
It was a very happy family. We're no different than any other family, yours or whoever. Yeah. We brothers, we had our little bickers and we had our fun times, and that's still going on today, forever. You brothers, you're not ashamed to say this about that one or that one about whatever. You just let it hang out. That's what we did.
But this musical talent, I mean, how was it discovered?
Well, we started singing a little country and western harmony, myself and my brother Jackie and Jermaine. With my mother, she washed dishes, and we singing these background little parts that we had learned from Three Stooges. Hello, 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 hello. We learned how to do that, and they converted to singing this country song. My father was a musician. He played blues over the weekend. I'd sneak his guitar and play it for months. He never knew it. I broke the string because he had told the boys, "Don't you touch my guitar when I go to work." Saying that to a kid, it's like saying, "You could touch my guitar when I go to work."
Yeah. So did you own up to it?
I started crying when he said, "Who broke this string?" So he knew. He said, "Go in the room." I went in the room. He followed me there and, put me back out there with the rest of the family and put the guitar in my lap and said, "Show me what you know." I was playing and crying. And he looked over at my mother and said, "Kate, this boy can play something, huh?" She said, "I told you, Joe, he's not playing with your guitar. He really wants to learn how to play." My father said, "I tell you what, boy, you can have this here guitar. I'll buy myself another one when I get paid.
Fantastic.
But I want you to learn every song on the radio and practice hard." So that's what I did. And my other brothers singing with us. We singing Temptations, Michael, Marlon, Babies. On the ground, rolling cars, hollering, vroom, vroom. "Can I be in the group?" "No, you're too young. You're just a baby. You're not in the group." We heard Michael sing at the elementary school, and he was so fantastic. We rushed him home. "You're in the group." "Me too?" Marlon said. "Yeah, you too." So,
because, the Jackson 5 went on for a long time, didn't it?
Yeah, we went on about 6, 7 years prior to being discovered by Motown.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was a big, big moment, obviously.
Yes, we used to open up for Etta James and James Brown, the Shy-Lights, and other professional groups. And finally, my father convinced us to go and give an audition to Motown because we had a choice to do the David Frost show or audition for Barry. Barry walked over to us after the audition set. He didn't show any expression. We're playing and singing and dancing, trying to do our best, and he's just there. We're looking, trying to see if he's patting his feet. Is he doing something that's showing excitement? So after we finished our numbers, he walked over and said, I'm taking your first 3 songs, #1. We couldn't believe our ears, you know, and he said, matter of fact, tomorrow I'm having a party for Diana Ross and I want you guys to perform. I'm having a party at my pool. So here we are performing at the pool, and in the audience is Smokey, The Miracles, Temptations, Diana Ross, Martha Reeves, and Van Dellen.
And you can't believe it.
And we're singing their songs to them. Fantastic. And it's like being judged, and
it's fantastic.
They enjoyed it.
But amazing success. And then, of course, Michael went on to become this phenomenal global superstar.
Michael has always been very, very talented and genius in his work. He loves it. I've never seen a person that loves show business more than Michael Jackson. He can get into a song and not leave it until it's completed, or whether it's a song or stage or whatever.
What do you make of some of the modern music? I mean, some of the really drill music, with its aggressive language.
When I listen to some of the music today, it is a turn off. But when I listen to some of the music today, it's a turn on, because we have artists like Bruno Mars, who's excellent. I mean, this young man come out with some excellent songs, and I enjoy his craft. But then you can have another artist, I don't want to mention names.
No, sure.
Totally, you don't even want to play this music around your children.
Well, that's the point I was making.
Exactly.
I mean, it's aggressive, it's violent, it's, some of it, incredibly anti-women.
They have totally flipped it, and it's sad because that can be controlled like everything else is, you know, but people want to make that dollar. And it seems like the bad stuff sells more than the good stuff. So what can I say?
And in terms of selling, you know, I mean, the old days of people going out and buying vinyl records, of course, you know, we've moved on and it's online. And from what I can understand, for musicians now, it's the live performances that really is where the income is.
Live performances, that's what most musicians are looking forward to. You know, our album is nothing more than a commercial. Well, the Jacksons has 2 or 3 million. I think, I don't have that many. I just piggyback off them.
Speaking in my ear because she's from that part of the world.
Yeah? Oh, wow.
You like Wolverhampton Wanderers? Wow. So are you going to go and see them at Molyneux?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. On the 2nd, I'll be there. They're playing Newcastle, and I'm going to be at the game. I'm hoping to go on the pitch and maybe talk to the fans.
Oh, fantastic. And it's funny, you know, because NFL now comes over here and this kind of developed a following really quite quickly. But soccer in America, I was obviously before lockdown, I was in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And when the English Premier League games were on, you know, like on a Saturday, and this is like 10 in the morning, New York time, and the bars were just overflowing with people watching Premier League. And you get into a taxi now. You know, I might go to DC or whatever, I get into a taxi, and you know, the first question the cabbie asks is, you English? I say, yeah. Which team do you support? I mean, soccer's really caught on in America, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I look at generations like my kids, you know, they all play soccer since this big. When I was a little boy like that, it was all about baseball or football. American
play football, but soccer side are the best in the world. And I'm guessing if America takes this game seriously, you're going to be looking at the World Cup in a few years and thinking maybe we can win this.
Well, possibly.
Because Americans do like winning, don't they?
They like to be competitive.
Yeah, I'd noticed.
Yeah.
I'd noticed. Well, look, I have to say it's a real pleasure you coming in, Tito.
Thanks for having me.
And talking. No, not a little bit. I'm going to wish Wolves well against Newcastle when you
Thank you.
Go to the game. And if you can bring back the bowler hat as a fashion item in this country, that would be a pretty considerable achievement.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather. Canary Islands. Sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle.